Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is a scene for Empire of Thorns. Iris has had a very emotional day and been on a roller coaster. Uh, Claudio, though, who's busy at the spring court, is not home. But Tam is. And Tam hears her crying and pokes his head into the bedroom, where he approaches Iris and asks her what's wrong. What she basically expressed in a very summed up terms is that she feels as though she's being essentially consumed by the uh, the spring court, as it were, and losing a bit of herself in uh, the rigmarole of it and all of the things. Tam asked her if she's seen the movie The Joy Luck Club, to which she replied no. So Tam will stop and kind of purse his lips, and he'll say, "The Joy Luck Club follows the story of four pairs of women, mother and daughter. It's a very beautiful movie. You should watch it. There is a set of characters in the movie. Again, mother and daughter. The daughter Rose marries a man named Richard. And early in the relationship, it shows them she's very alive. She's very vibrant. She's very she's a very engaging person that catches his attention. As the movie goes on, as things progress, he's going into politics, and he she's afraid she's going to lose some of her cultural sensibilities and directions, and she transforms herself into a very quiet and submissive housewife. Richard and her begin to experience marital problems, distress. At one point, he's talking to her. She asks him what he wants for dinner, and he says, "Whatever you want." And she becomes very upset and distressed, and he they end up fighting and arguing. And he tells her he just wants her to want, to speak, to say, to not be so submissive and demure. She ends up in that scene, in that part, just walking away, basically saying, she just wants whatever he wants. Later on, the next scene, it shows he's had an affair. And that speaking of a divorce. And he doesn't really talk about it. He doesn't really explain what's going on. He assures her that it wasn't the girl. In the end, she realizes that what he fell in love with was that vibrant young woman. That woman who had a voice, who had an opinion, who had something to say. And she realized that she had to be herself. She had to embrace what she wanted. That she had she had to realize her own worth. To realize what her value was. And I think what you and Claudio are going through right now is a question of personal value. And kind of chew his lip. That was a lot of words for that cat.
Yeah, it's kind of Iris's turn to be the not particularly verbal one, to be fair. Because she's mostly just going to nod into his shoulder.
I know Claudio loves you very much. He's crazy about you. You have been spending more time with the spring. You've been embracing more of the spring. But there's no in between in this society. There's no, without being courtless, there's no, you can have a measure of goodwill within one or the other. There are even some who hold position between the courts. Lucas Adair is one, as is Eric DeRaven. Emissaries and those that work within the other courts that aren't members of the other courts. They're not members. It's not where one's heart belongs, where they've claimed and laid their allegiance and fealty. That there's no in between. And that fealty, that commitment has power and strength. If you're committed to the Autumn Court, and that's where you place your vow, then yes, you're losing touch with that.
But I've always been in between. It's like everything has to be absolutes, and there's all these worms and moles, and they live in the earth, and there's all these birds and they live in the sky, and there's all these fish and they live in the water, and okay, not very much lives in fire, but that's not the point. And I'm like a dandelion. And people keep thinking that because the leaves kind of reach up and then the yellow flower goes all waving in the breeze and everything, that I have to fit in the sky bit, and then there's the roots and they go down into the earth bit. And if you cut it in half and you split the desire from the fear, then the desire bit dies, but the fear just grows back into desire again. They don't split. Not really.
Well, that's why there are. Well, that's one, why the courtless exist. And two, that's why there are people that, although belong to one court, do hold a bit of a sway with the other ones, a bit of a heart with them. But in the end, that without remaining courtless, in the end, that vow, that allegiance to join one of those courts.
I know where the roots go. It's just we were talking about the babies, and I wanted them to make their own choice and to find out about everything, and we didn't even. Claudia was just like, I don't want them to be courtless. They have to be. You can pick any court, but they have to be a court. And I end up walking all over the place and thinking about all sorts of different things, and it just ends up coming back to exactly what Claudia wanted in the first place.
My dear.
And that's okay, because it's kind of probably the best choice. But then I come home and I realize that the entire place, the nursery, everything, it's already spring.
You're two things. As a point, you're marrying one of the highest ranking members of the Supreme Court. This is the Sirs, the High Sirs.
Yes, but
Literally controls who belongs.
yes, but it wasn't. I would really like them to be spring and not winter or summer or something. It was.
No, what I meant by that was he's a very powerful person, and that means that your children are targets. Without the protection of one of the courts, God only knows what can happen to them.
I know, and that's why it's probably the best decision, but we didn't even consider my first choice. Didn't even really talk about that one, and then it just sometimes it's a good feeling that Claudia always seems to know the best thing, and sometimes it just makes me wonder where I fit into everything.
Well, he is a wise man. But if you want your voice to be heard, if you want him to listen to you, he can't listen to you and he can't form the opinion. He can't. If you're quiet, he can't hear silence.
I told him. I did.
And what was his response?
His response was, as I said, that I could pick any court, but I couldn't pick courtless.
Now, do you understand why?
I do, but that isn't the point.
When someone has to draw a line, sometimes the quickest and fairest thing to say is, here is the line, and making that line clear.
I know.
Out of respect for the person.
It's just every single step along this relationship, we've gone with what he wanted, and I don't regret that, because they've all been the best decisions. It's just the one time I had a strong opinion that was different, he was just like, no. And it's not the end decision that is getting to me. It isn't, because it makes the most sense. Because, I mean, Andreas explained the whole thing about exactly why warding works differently than goodwill and all of that stuff. Though I think he kind of hates me.
Andreas doesn't like anyone. It's not you. I'm not roommates with him. He just genuinely doesn't like anyone. He doesn't allow himself to get close to people. Don't worry, it's not you.
It's just the one time we actually disagree. And he's right. He's always right, but he didn't even kind of consider it.
Is that acceptable to you?
Pardon?
Is it acceptable to you? The fact that he didn't consider it?
I don't know.
Because if it's not acceptable, then you have to tell him. You find that unacceptable, but he didn't consider it. But if you don't, then all you're going to have is a very, very, very serious problem later in your marriage. But if he was right, then maybe you might want to consider that it's not that he didn't consider what you do or don't want. He just understands that right now you're hormonal. There's a lot going on that you don't understand. That he is the type of person who has to act quickly. And he has been going through some emotional things that have really torn into him. And being decisive doesn't necessarily mean that you don't care about the other person's opinion or that it doesn't matter. It just means that you don't have the luxury to entertain or afford the gray areas. He's a man of power, and he's trying to balance that power with a family right now. There are certain luxuries you're not afforded when you're in that sort of a position. Sometimes that luxury is being able to have a choice. Maybe he didn't entertain it because the thought that he doesn't have the choice hurts him. That makes some sense, right?
It does. It's just... I know you two have been through a lot, and I've been trying to be there for both of you, but that kind of means I've been through a lot of it too. And
I know. That's why I'm here. And I've been here the entire time, Iris. We're gonna chuckle like, been right here. Meow. I know I'm the pet in the equation, but he'll wave. Hi, here I am.
she still hasn't let go of him, by the way.
He's still holding him. Remember what Claudio said when we first decided to do this relationship as we did? That part of the reason that he was, in the end, fine with it is because he understood that he didn't have as much free time, as much freedom in his time that you might need. I know, Lucci, and I can understand where you're frustrated, and I see where you're coming from. I can understand how it would be dismaying or disappointing. But if you want for more of your autumn influence to shine in this, that light has to come from within you. Lucci left the autumn court. He left for a reason. So to embrace that again might not be something he's capable or that he wouldn't do of his own volition. But you might also want to realize or think about the fact that although you seated in the autumn court, maybe he'll kind of point around himself. This isn't as influenced outside of yourself as you.
I told you. I've always been both. I know where the roots of it lie. The desire comes from the fear, not the other way around.
Well, then you might want to work in some autumn influences. But that's your choice. And that's where you have the control. And if you don't take that control, Lucci's going to. Because that's the kind of man he is. And if he takes that control, you're going to lose yourself. And then you're going to resent Lucci for it. But he does love you. He loves us very much. We just only belong to him so much. Unfortunately, in our choice of lovers and who we've chosen to love, I don't know if the spring court is a terrible mistress, or we are.
She'll nod.
I know that I would.
Andreas kind of think he was trying to make me agree to do what Claudio wants or something, but he was talking about Maurice like that's supposed to make me feel threatened, and it's not people. It's not people that makes me feel insecure.
Lucci needs his secrets. He's always been like that. I accept that that's one of them. I don't ask questions. And I don't demand an explanation. I leave it alone. I don't let the situation there find enough of a purchase on me to be used against me, because I know it can be. You're a woman. So him having another woman is easier for me to square away with and be okay with the fact that he keeps another male. That's a bit harder. I'll kind of swallow.
She'll hug him even tighter.
Especially because I don't think it's a casual affair. But he'll shrug. I realize that as long as I keep it where it is, a secret, don't address it and leave it be, I'll be fine.
We can ask him to stop doing that if you want.
Do you remember how he stabbed somebody through the heart the last time that happened? Just as a point. I don't delude myself. He wanted to be in a family with us more. And he wanted a relationship with Azure. And he's the kind of man who removes things from his path that stops him from what he wants. Prefer the consort to the king, not become an obstacle. I love Lucci, but I understand that the man is still there from the Red City. That murderer is still there. It's addictive, killing people. It's a rush, a fulfilling comes from it. And he spent a damn long time finding pleasure in killing people. Something he's walked away from. But there's no need to wave the wine glass under the alcoholic's nose. Sorry. So I leave it be. I recommend you do the same. What's the phrase? Choose your battles wisely? Unless you want Maurice dead. He'll shrug. I don't want him dead. I don't have a particular problem with him. He's good for the courts, but that's the problem. He's good for the courts, not the people. I mean, kinda is. I can't believe I did that! Out of game, it stuck.
That's impressive. I wish I had like.
Sorry, out of game, I threw my keys across the room. No, those are mine. It's right on the floor. I threw my keys across the room and they stuck on the hook. But then I swung back off. Yeah, he'll just kind of shrug and he'll say, you get fussy sometimes and fret. That one I'd leave alone. It'll kind of nuzzle it.
Okay, but there needs to be a way for us to ask him not to sleep with people without him killing them. It's not healthy.
I think the only person who wants to maintain a outside relationship with is him.
Not the point.
Well, if that's the only person he wants to do things with, I'm gonna scratch his head confused.
The point is, if you're not happy about it, there should be a way to tell him these things without deaths.
I have told him.
What did he say?
He'll shrug and he'll say, he told me that if I disagree with the relationship so much that I wanted it to end, then I needed to make it clear right then and there. But if not, then he would appreciate if I respected his decisions. So I respected his decision. But this is also a conversation you should be having with him, not me. And if you're not comfortable with him being in a relationship with Maurice, then you need to tell him.
He's working. He's working late. I don't really mind as long. Kind of the same as Will, you know. I don't mind as long as we come first, the three of us.
Yeah. Either way, there are certain things in this conversation you might want to talk to him about. You know it's scheduled. Catch him when he's on a downswing. If you don't talk to him or you make an excuse as to why you didn't, he'll just shrug. I don't know what to tell you. I love you, but that's not the wisest idea.
I'm not. I will talk to him. It's just I hadn't figured out that I needed to yet.
Well, now you know. I'll kind of smile at her and like boop her nose. I do love you, and you know that. I'll kind of lean on her. Even when you ignore me.
I don't ignore you.
Blob on her. Yeah, sure. I'll just kind of like lay on her at this point.
I don't.
Sure.
When do
Where was I? All morning. Where was I? Well, you were in here painting, crying. I'll chuckle. And when you're sleeping, you ignore me when you're sleeping.
I don't ignore you.
And when you're in the shower, you ignore me.
I do not ignore you in the shower.
You ignore me when you're sleeping.
No, I'm just not very vocal.
Are you dreaming about me?
Sometimes.
And you're ignoring me. You know what you're doing? You're ignoring me when you dream about me. You dream about ignoring me, and I know you do. I'll just kind of like nibble at her neck. Don't lie to me. He'll tickle her. He's joking, obviously. I don't know if my tone's conveying that.
I had this great big long dream the other day, and you were just sat there in a big glass box trying to get out, and I was just completely ignoring you the whole time.
There wasn't even a glass box. It was just the field of your hate for me.
No, it was definitely a glass box.
Oh God, you see? I knew you did it. I knew you dreamed of it, you see? Been studying ornithopmancy behind your back. And you ignore me in your dreams too. Just kidding here. I'll go
care enough to put holes in the box though.
Oh my God, thank you. Jesus, Mengele. Let's just go downstairs and like make her dinner for like prepare it, like put the plates out for her and stuff like that. And then afterwards he'll clean up and he'll go and he'll flop on the couch with a book and wave at her.
Mm-hmm.
With the indication of get the fuck out of here and go talk to your man. It's nighttime. He's normally less busy at night.
Yep. Dinner was roast lamb and roast potatoes and roast carrots and all that.
Bitch missed dinner then. Because that cat ate all of it.
Yep.
Bad.
Yeah, no. She did.
He would have saved her a plate. Or saved him a plate.
Yep. Because she did go. She basically went for what can I put in the oven and ignore while I paint. Mm-hmm. So roasted veg and roast lamb.
On to your man. Let's do that. Because the man himself is who she honestly needs to talk to. I'm just trying to figure out what picture to use for him. Because he's not quite in the dropping the king state, but he's not in a bad mood. He's in this one. I'll put him here.
Put up at that one. He's tired, but he's not like, oh my god. So there's actually a list of shit for people to be doing. I'm gonna roll off of. Except number 6. He's not doing number 6. Getting laid. Number 5. Okay, that's an interesting for him to be doing, actually.
He's in the gym.
Okay.
He's curling, actually.
So presumably it will not be hard to ask someone where Claudio has got to lately and find him in the gym.
Yes, he is in the gym, and when she comes in, he's basically got a decent-sized barbell, actually. He's got high strength, so it's one of those, oh my. And he's kind of like got the muscles going and wearing a tank top and like a pair of gym pants, sneakers.
Mm-hmm.
He's he'll kind of like grit his teeth and like curl it and muscle. You can have a moment if you want.
Nah, because
rhythm going. He's got a rhythm going.
because she's brought the dinner with her and she doesn't want it getting cold, so she won't take him home.
So yeah, he'll curl and finish his reps, and basically get up and let me see if he notices her there. Let me see. Hold on. 9 dice minus 1 for being distracted. Shit on rice. Yeah, he notices you.
Yep.
Yeah, he'll basically kind of like.
The roast lamb probably helps.
Yeah, he'll blow her a kiss as he's going and putting the weights down. And
he'll come over. Hi.
Hi. I
Do me a favor. He'll kind of hold the finger up and say, do me a favor.
Mm-hmm.
He'll point as in go back to the bench with him.
Okay. And she'll head over to the bench.
And he'll stack 2 plates on each side. And he'll say, I'm almost done, so keep me company while I'm doing this.
Okay, but your dinner might get cold.
There's a microwave right here. Thank you, though. And he'll kind of like unrack the 100-pound bench press, which is what he's just doing his reps on. He can go fucking higher than that. He's just exercising right now, so he'll kind of steady the bar and start raising and lifting it. Oh, how's your day?
A bit all over the place.
Mm-hmm. He'll kind of nod. Why? He'll kind of grunt with the bar.
Well, you know how I ended up talking to basically everyone earlier?
And he'll kind of rack it. Uh-huh. We'll sit up.
Well, it kind of got me thinking about things. And then it kind of got me thinking about other things. And I ended up crying all over town.
Oh, God. He's going to be so colorful when I get home, isn't he?
He might have had a shower by then, I don't know. But he was curled up reading when I left. So he might still be colorful.
Off my couches, I swear to God. I'm putting the weights back. That is leather, for God's sake. He'll rack the weights again. Kind of pick his towel up and rub his face with it.
She's mostly joking because her colourful tears actually kind of evaporate, taking the colour with them rather than leaving the colour behind. But
he'll smile and he'll kind of go over to the lockers and open it up and take a log, pull off his water bottle, and he'll take his shirt off and pull on a clean one. Not like a clean one, like the one he was wearing before. He'll kind of look at her like, "Are you quiet? Do you want me to take a shower?"
No, I'm just trying to get my head straight. Because
You're pregnant. That's never happening again. He'll just shake his head. That's something I've learned about pregnant women over time. Once you get pregnant, that's it. It's done. He'll kind of kiss her on the forehead playfully.
well, that's your fault. So
Well, yeah, it's my fault, so I accept it and I live with this fact, but it's done. Now we're parents and we have parent brain. It's just the way it is. That's why Tam is so derpy sometimes, I think, because of Leo. He'll kind of look around the gym. I normally do this in the locker room, but he'll kind of like pull his track pants off down to his boxers and switch back into his jeans. There's nobody else in here, so he doesn't really care. He'll actually throw his sneakers into the locker. Give me a wits composure roll, by the way. When he goes to chuck his trainers back in the locker, she notices that there is a picture of her and him in the locker, and like a little drawing or something that she did. Probably it may have even been something like she sketched out and thought she either threw away or just kind of like left. You know what I mean? Like doodles that he put in there. And there's like other stuff in there, a couple of other like notes and stuff like that. But on the door of the locker is a picture of them and like a drawing that she drew. And he'll kind of shut the locker and spin the lock. And he'll kind of wrap his arm around her waist. Kitchens?
I guess so.
Okay. So he'll go with her to the kitchen and kind of he'll sit down, pull over a fork, and smile at her.
So, do you ever feel like you're losing part of yourself?
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah.
When?
149 years old. Happened many times. At that point, I usually, I guess I just evaluate what's going on in my life at the time. See if I'm losing a part of myself or if it's a change. Whether the parts that I'm losing of myself are where I've grown and the vestiges of what I'm leaving behind are fighting. It's happening right now, honestly. I've never had children before. I've never been a father. I've cared for children. I've, looked after children in the courts. I've served as the court's caretaker at times. But I've never had a child of my own. But I just so I'm becoming a father. So there's things about my in that regards. I've never been a husband before. I've been in deep relationships. I've it's been one or two where I thought maybe I'd want to marry them, but they'll kind of shrug. I've never been a husband before. I've never. When I went from the autumn court to the spring court, that was a moment where I thought I was losing parts of myself. When oh, wow. It's just a common thing people experience as they age and they grow. Because you are losing parts of yourself. what the question at that point lies is, if the change is embraced or not. Whether those are parts of yourself you want to let go or not. And I think that's what you have to ask yourself. At the end of the day, you have to be happy with the woman you're looking at in the mirror. Beyond me, beyond Tamerlane, beyond the courts, beyond anything. You have to live with yourself. So if you're losing parts of yourself, and it's not parts that you want to lose, and it's not parts that are harming other people, you have to ask yourself, what do I have to do to regain my identity? And to embrace the parts of myself that I love? What makes you? And I'll smile at her very softly.
That's the problem. I don't really know.
Well, you can either... It'll figure itself out in the end. Because some people don't realize that self-identity can be indecisiveness and can be the lack of or inability to define yourself. Or to define yourself in unorthodox ways. Ways that don't fit descriptions or normatives that resonate with most people. The kooks, the weirdos, the free spirits, the bohemians, you know what I mean? But no one knows what purpose or point we were put onto this earth. What our paths are, really. We all work on speculative guesses and perchances and what we believe is right. Whatever's right to you is... There's a very famous saying, make your own path or someone else will choose it for you. And I've seen that happen so many times. If someone doesn't want their own path defined and gives their will to someone else, then there's so much of a loss of power and of identity that unless that person completely submits their will, they're just going to be unhappy. I'd never want to see you go through that, especially since what drew me to you was how fiery you were, how the light danced in your eyes, how you were so grounded in reality while still letting your mind imagine.
Why didn't we discuss the courtless option?
Because I didn't want you to think that it was something I had a choice on the matter of. As a responsible parent, it's not something I have a choice on the matter of. I have to I don't have the luxury in my position and in where I stand with allowing my children to be so vulnerable, especially seeing that I was what some consider a loyalist. And there are many who would target our children. And the protection of the court offers so much to protect and to assure that that doesn't happen. And to not accept that, embrace it, and simply work in that fact brings to me stress and energy that I don't have time to entertain. I could choose to fight against it, rail against it, to express my displeasure, to fuss over it. But in the end, I've made the choice to act as high serfs to this court. I've made the choice to tie myself in so strong to it, and I've made the choice to serve in the position I have. And in that choice, I gave up a measure of my choice to have certain freedoms that others might enjoy, such as, well, raising their children outside of the courts and outside of the protection of the vows of fealty that the court offers.
That explains why it's a bad choice. But it's not. It's just every time we've had a big decision to make, we've gone with what you wanted, and I haven't regretted any of that. But the first time I wanted something different, we didn't really discuss it.
Well, you didn't discuss it. I considered it closed for debate because you didn't express an opposing viewpoint so strongly.
I told you I wanted them to be courtless, and
what did I say?
Now I've looked into it and learned more, but that's not the point.
But what did I say, Carmel? What was my response to you?
Your response was that I could pick any court that I wanted, but they couldn't be courtless.
Did I say they couldn't, or that I'd prefer they didn't?
I think you actually might have said couldn't. I'm not sure. But
even if I said they couldn't, I meant it more in the sense of a fact. In the sense that by the laws of common natural physics, a bird can't be a fish. They can be courtless, but it would be horrifically.
There's penguins.
He face palms so hard.
I get that they have to belong to a court. I've done all the thinking on that, and we end up with the same decision that you wanted in the first place. That's not the point.
He'll just sit back and look at her as though he's half amused and half about to commit murder again. I love you for it. I love you so much for what you just did. Just pat her hand.
What?
You see things in ways that just... God, I really do appreciate. I really do appreciate your ability to look at things from so many different angles and to take in different perspectives. I really appreciate it, as frustrating as it is to me. I don't think like that, Caramillo.
I think it's because I'm kind of a dandelion.
I know. Caramillo.
I will point out she has not actually explained the dandelion reference to Claudio. She explained it to Chow.
Fortunately, he's smart and it's not that hard of a thing to understand. Caramillo. If you want to raise the children courtless, it is something that I would be willing to discuss and even go along with, if you're willing to understand exactly the risk you're putting our children at. And understand that if at any point in time they are a threat, I would push that we ward them immediately. If it's that important to you.
That's what I wanted to hear. It's not about whether they're raised courtless or whether they're raised in a court. It's about us deciding together.
I will try in the future to make my absolutes present themselves in a way that's less finite.
It's a bit more debatey. But I guess the little fluffy bits go floating in the breeze and stuff, so...
But I see you. I do. And I don't want you to ever think that I don't love you or care about you or respect you. I know sometimes I can get caught up in... He'll kind of just around, hands go around. But you are my wife. Even if the vows haven't been set yet. You are the mother of my children. You are my family. And I that means something to me. I know marriage has become so travel-sized and disposable nowadays, but I didn't go into this really. I'm 149. I'll be 150 in a few days. Do you think in 150 years, no woman has walked past me that captured my heart? You're the first one to ever capture my vow and for me to want to spend that time with.
I guess it's just... I mean... There's There's been a lot of stuff going on lately.
I've actually thought that I'm in a bit of a downswing right now. Camille, this is nothing compared to what I've been through the last year. And I've almost died twice. That wasn't my first heart attack, Camille.
I suppose sometimes you just need to know that if someone had to choose, they'd choose you. And then they don't have to choose. You just have to feel it, you know?
That is a scenario that I am overjoyed will never play out. Because I do not think in those terms. And that is a blessing for me.
Take a bite of his food.
You don't think in which terms?
Those types of hypotheticals.
Well,
I don't really entertain that type of thought.
It's just, I love you and I love Tam.
Mm-hmm.
But I know if I could only have one of you, I'd pick you and not Tam.
But see, that's such an ugly thing to have to consider. So I just don't. I'll never have to choose between you and Tam.
That's true.
No one knows what's going to happen in this situation. No one knows what leads to this. People talk about that. They do the whole, well, if I did this or I did that or this, no. Because in the moment, when things happen, everything we planned for always goes out the window. Because life's funny like that. So in my 100 and almost 50 years now, what I've learned is don't do that. Don't ever play the, would he choose the spring cord over me? Would he choose Tam over me? Because it doesn't offer a real answer. It's a platitude. It'll make you feel better. It's not real. What is real is my love for you. And the fact that I come home to you. Maybe not every night, but you are where my home lies. I'm going to be fair and ask you to roll a wits empathy roll. What did you get? 2 successes?
Uh-huh.
It's not that what he said wasn't true. It wasn't a lie, but it wasn't true, what he just said.
About her being his home.
Yes.
Right.
I hate to do that. I'm sorry, but
Yeah, no.
you do have the right as a player for that roll to happen.
Yeah. Something tells me he will make the wits empathy roll to realize that she has noticed that. Because she is not good at hiding these things.
This is one of his higher rolls. Remember that? I always roll it, and then people are like, "Oh my god, how many does he have to roll?" I'm like, "A lot." You got a lot to roll for that. Okay, he'll kind of tilt his head, and he'll say, You see, that's why I say those hypotheticals shouldn't exist. You see, that's why. We'll just kind of take a bite of his food. My love for you is very real, and you know. Any for your thoughts?
I'm just trying to work out if it's some biological imperative or something.
What? I'll just kind of shake his head, taking another bite, like, what?
The feeling that I really need to know that they're going to be your top priority. And she pats her belly.
I don't have one top priority, Caramillo. And my priority changes. I have many priorities, which are extremely important at different times.
She nods.
I'm not going to tell you some lyrical and beautiful thing about how, of course, it's my top priority. Of course, at all points in time, I'll be willing to drop everything, to do everything. My family is one of my highest priorities. One of the most important things in my world. But my life doesn't work in tiers. It works in circles. And those circles overlap. And those circles move and shift and change in a field and in a plane, which I have no control over. And which circle I happen to be on or in overlapping or is the main priority at the time. It's never the same. Now I can sit here and tell you, assure you, look in your eyes deeply and whisper beautiful things to you to put your heart at ease. And I'd be lying to you. It's disrespectful, not real love or respect or what would make us happy in the end. It'll make you happy for a time.
I know.
But there are times when...
That's why, like I said, I'm trying to work out if of course,
it's a biological imperative. You're pregnant and you want your mate to protect you. Of course it is. I can tell you this without extreme crisis. At any given point in time, our children and you are the most important priority in front. I wouldn't, for instance, not be there for their birth because there was some function going on in the court. I wouldn't choose to attend a treaty hearing over one of them being in surgery. But for instance, if you were in labor and he'll throw his hands up, God forbid the king were under attack, I'd have to be there for the king. Were we under attack and the children and the king were the targets, I don't know what would happen at the time. If we were under attack and it was the children and Maurice or No, the other king consort's not a really good comparison. Tam or the children? I don't know. I assume I would probably save the children first. But I don't know. And to tell you that I do know is... he'll shrug. It's not real. It's a lie.
She'll nod.
Factors could come into play. I could be closer to Tamerlane than the children and not be able to really help them. They could be in possession of one of the Truffet, and trying to help them would put us all at risk when I could do something later.
You know about Cade, right? Because Liam didn't know about Cade.
He hits his head on the table with a resounding
Smack so hard and then immediately heals himself.
yes, I'm aware.
I'm just checking because, like I
I'm
said,
aware.
he didn't know, and I thought he would have.
I'm aware.
I'm aware of Cade. Maurice has told me. A man whose position at no point in time do I envy.
And apparently there's another one called Sam who's a dragon.
He's obsessed with humanity, not even the lost, humanity itself.
And favors being in their presence. The lost,
Who once were human also hold a bit of sway with him, but he is like Cade. They're both banished.
banished Truffet are, although capricious and still very dangerous to a measure, not quite the threat that we should all batten down the hatches and ward them off. And with Cade, Mr. Lee Gallows, he sold off his essence in order to become a lost, and so therefore I don't quite so much consider him a Truffet anymore.
Though he was making people crazy.
That's not that hard right now, but I think Maurice is attempting to remedy that right now. A path that is proving to be difficult, but I'm sure with the help of others, he'll find a way. At the end of the day, I'm crazy about you. And I think sometimes you forget that.
I don't forget. It's just...
Need you to be reminded every once in a while?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, here I am reminding you. Just don't forget to notice the little reminders. Sometimes I'm not so obvious in my reminders.
She'll nod. I might be repainting the nursery tomorrow.
Fun. Why don't we go with less imagery and more the palette and decorations reflecting what we're trying to project in our decorations. We could use elements of turquoise and burnt orange. Turquoise for spring and burnt orange for autumn.
That might clash a bit with the green and purple.
So change the colors from green and purple.
But I've almost finished their blankets. Like the baby hats were
My
all
love,
green and purple, and then the
my love. We're both wizened. Do you not have contracts to change the simple mechanics of things?
I'm not wizened.
Isn't she an artist?
She's an artist, but she's polychromatic as well, and polychromatic is a fairest kith.
Yeah, but she's also a wizened, right? Like she's like an artist as in the kith, right? Or did you just mean she is an artist?
No, she is the artist kith, but I put them alphabetically there rather than in order of seniority.
Okay.
She's the fairest polychromatic artist.
Okay. He is actually a wizened, so he has contracts of artifice.
Yep.
Yeah, he'll smile on her and say, I can easily change the blanket colors if you want. That's a very simple thing to do, actually, with my contracts.
Okay, but don't let Tam see them.
I
I want it to be a surprise.
I can do it without looking at them.
You can see them because you already know the names, but I want it to be a surprise for Tam.
I see. But yes, we could always, instead of decorating their bedroom with images, we could decorate it with again, turquoise and burnt orange. Although unorthodox colors, fits you a little better. And there are some dandelions that are burnt orange in color. Think of like those burnt orange dandelions over the turquoise blue sky is what I was thinking of. But burnt orange is also a color of the autumn.
Yep.
We can incorporate red foxes. Red foxes are also seen as an autumn animal, but also seen as creatures of trickster and desire, which falls into spring. I don't match the burnt orange.
I could see a few fox things, but I'd rather not make foxes a motif because I figured they're probably going to be something of a motif for Kiko's baby, and you know, would be nice to be slightly.
Do you want to know a secret?
Mm-hmm.
Kiko hates foxes.
Kiko hates foxes.
Well, if your keeper were a fox, and people were surrounding you with things that reminded you of your keeper, wouldn't you get too?
Why?
It's
Why
too
didn't
polite.
you say anything?
Because people do that sometimes.
Well, yes, but
I don't know why she doesn't say anything. I'm not her.
you would have thought she'd at least have said something to Seb.
I'll shrug. I had this problem when I dated her. She identifies with being a fox. She accepts foxes in that way, but everybody thinks that she likes foxes, and she doesn't. But she doesn't say anything about it. As I understand it, she likes peacocks the best, and monkeys, and piggies. But I don't think she likes foxes, which, if you keep in mind her keeper was a fox, makes sense.
See, I didn't know her keeper was a fox. I just knew she was.
Yes. Me, on the other hand, they're my favorite animal. I love foxes.
They are quite cute.
Remember, I told you that when we were talking about getting a cat. I told you I love foxes best and I couldn't have one.
I don't see why you couldn't.
I mean, I could, I don't think I have time.
And we already have Strider. And I don't think these two are going to give us a lot of time either.
He'll finish up his dinner. Are you feeling better, Camille?
Yeah, that was most of the things.
Well, what else?
Well, there was only the one other thing, and I'm not really sure whether it's a good idea to talk about it much or not.
Oh, tell me what it is, darling. We'll decide afterwards if it's a good idea to talk about it or not. But not talking about it, that's a bad idea. So just tell me what it is.
Maurice.
He'll smile. Go on.
Well, Andreas said some not particularly nice things, but
Andreas never says anything nice.
But I'm not really worried about that. The thing is, you know how when we were talking about Will, and you said that it would be okay to sleep with him, but we have to make sure that it's a friendship thing and not another relationship. And
Smile at her.
I kind of think Tam might need reminding that it's the same thing here. But
it's not. When I said that I preferred you kept it to a friendship thing with William, that's because I understand that William, well, up until recently apparently, is a violent, womanizing drunk. It was William that caused that response in me. If you want to have a relationship with another man, by all means, go ahead.
okay, but I suppose it's not so much that. It's just he's not family, right? Do you see what I mean?
You can make me an empathy roll.
Just the
Okay.
one.
His response is very neutral, which for him means that there are deeper thoughts there. He's basically not saying anything.
Yeah. I suppose it's kind of like anyone else. They want to know that you love them, and she's just going to shrug, like she really does not really know how to put this.
Take your time. Gotta be. And make sure that you're not speaking for yourself through the protection and filter to him.
Tam pointed out that I'd probably feel more threatened if it was a woman than it being a man.
All right.
So I guess it's more how I imagine I would feel in the same circumstance.
He doesn't need to feel threatened. There's no threat to him.
Well,
I told him that.
Well, okay, that's just.
If he feels threatened, I can't control that.
I know. I'm just. You know how we were talking about how sometimes reminders are good?
I can remind him I'm not going to. I'm not going to coddle him.
She'll nod.
Tam's sin is that he can get very needy sometimes. And it's his personality, and I've learned that about him through the years of knowing him. I don't entertain that. I do my best to respond reasonably to his feelings. But I'm not going to compromise either one of our emotions by pretending to shrug. I'm not going to pretend to give him what he wants to his face while continuing what I'm doing behind his back.
She'll nod. I guess it's just sometimes I feel more needy than other times, and so sometimes I can kind of understand what that might feel like.
And sometimes I need the both of you to remember that I have many, many things demanding my attention. And just because your need to have your neediness, as you put it, fulfilled, doesn't mean that I don't care for you or care about your needs. It just means that I need you to understand that I can't always be there. And I can't entertain I can't always entertain what's the word? There's a word for it. It's eluding me right now. Doubt. I can't always elude doubt. Or I can't always assuage your doubt. Sometimes you're just going to have to trust me and trust us and trust this.
She nods. I know that.
There's a measure of responsibility which has to be in your hands, and as well as Tam's. And I'm not going to leave you. I'm not.
I know.
Do I love Maurice? In a way, yes, I do. Yes, I do. Do I care for him? Very much. I think he's a great man. Am I a bit jealous of his... He's left me with little to do in certain regards in the courts. He's taken up a lot of responsibility that I used to hold my own. And so I'm having to find things to preoccupy and busy myself with. And that adjustment...
Yeah. At that comment about having to busy himself with things, she's just going to take his hand and put it on her tummy.
Oh, yes, that too, of course. Once I hear, I'm not exactly involved in this process yet. Okay. Once they're out, then I'll be home much more, and I will take a much greater care of the children. But right now, I'm not really doing anything.
So maybe it's good that he showed up and he took over a lot of these things. Look,
How about I help you decorate the room tomorrow?
I know that sometimes what we're going to want is going to be more than what you're necessarily going to be able to give, and that's okay. That's I'm just saying, it's good to know that, and then when you can, then you can.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want to look for more things that you need to do, you really don't have to look that far.
I know. I'm adjusting, just like you were saying earlier. I'm having to learn how to do things outside of the court now, and how to focus on things other than the court. It's a slow progression, but I am learning.
She'll nod.
Why don't we work on the room together tomorrow? I know it's a change from what you originally envisioned, but that's part of being an artist. I think sometimes you forget I am an artist.
I don't forget. You just are busy.
I don't really get to art that much, you're right. Maybe I'll have some time to make something or do something. I haven't painted in forever.
Well, I've nearly finished the blankets, and we can completely repaint the room, and I was thinking a mobile might be a nice next thing, and we could put a fox on it, and some other things, and a cat.
Okay.
And a butterfly, and we'll just come up with other things to go on it.
Knives. We put knives on it. Not literally knives. Stuffed knives.
Or penguin.
So many people in this court and in the courts surrounding us are obsessed with knives. Why?
I don't know.
Shrug and shake his head like, why? I'm good with a knife. I'm very good with a knife. But why are we all good with knives?
I'm not.
We should teach you to be good with
I
knives.
mean, I am kind of good with knives, but mostly when it comes to like chopping things for food. I can make one of those little tomato rose things.
You did not just do that.
Oh my god, you did. He'll just shake his head like, oh god.
What?
Said tomato.
That's it. We're over.
What? Tomato rose things.
You did it again.
You say tomato.
I didn't know you said tomato.
What am I supposed to say? Tomato?
Yes.
Like,
The only proper way. We're in America now.
well, sorry, but I was brought up English, so I
If
say.
I don't have the benefit of my Italian accent, you don't get the benefit of your British accent. You gotta say tomato. You gotta say it now. Actually, it's really cute when you say it. Say it again.
What? Tomato or tomato?
It's so cute when you say tomato. What's the last letter of the alphabet?
Z.
Damn it. Let's say Z. I lost my accent sometime in the 80s. It started wearing off completely. I get mad sometimes it pops out, but for the most part, I
Yes,
switched to
I've only been around Americans,
Long Island.
but I've only been around Americans for about 2 months.
Yeah, but British people never lose their accent. You could be here for 20, 30, 40, 50 years. You'll still sound like David Attenborough by the time it rolls around.
Good.
I can't even fake a British accent.
I can't fake an Italian one.
I can do German. Have you ever asked a German to say the word squirrel?
No, why would I ask them to say the word squirrel?
He grabs her hand and drags her. Like immediately right now.
This is feeling very much like when Ferran took me to meet Will's chickens.
He's not quite as enthusiastic or ecstatic about it, but there's definitely some happiness. And he'll drag her and drag her and drag her.
Yep.
And he'll take her.
She just did make the comment. Feels very much like when Ferran took me to meet Will's chickens.
I don't have an overlay for him, but she'll take him to one of the NPCs. It's he's the guy, and he'll stop him, and he'll be like, Klaus, and he'll kind of stop and look up, and he'll hold his phone up, his smartphone, and there's a picture of a squirrel on it, and he'll hold it up. And he's like, say it, and he'll just kind of roll his eyes and smile at him and like shake his head.
Apparently, I need to hear how you say squirrel.
And he'll just like look down, like, God damn it. And then and Claudio has this look on his face, like, do it. And he'll look up and he'll be like, he'll start to say, he'll laugh. Squirrel. 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 And just Claudio is damn near rolling at this.
And Iris is just going to raise an eyebrow at Claudio and then look back at Klaus and say, it's okay, he was making fun of me saying tomato as well.
He'll start laughing at that. Squirrel. That's right. Squirrel. He'll kind of like, he's like, you're almost there, Klaus. And he's like, squirrel. And he's like, good job. And he'll just laugh. Apparently this is an ongoing joke. And he'll kind of wave him off and go back to doing what he's doing. And Claudio will smile at her. Germans can't say squirrel. And he'll nod. It's true. At a game, that's true. Germans can't say the word squirrel.
And Americans don't say aluminium properly. What's your point?
I can say aluminium. It's not hard. Germans literally can't say the word squirrel without a hard time.
Yeah, that doesn't change what she said.
Yeah, he'll say, it's not a hard word to say. We literally have the syllables to do it. Germans don't have the syllable that follows in squirrel to say it, so they can't say that word unless they know how to I want to say conjugate, and that's not right. Put all those letters together.
And that's
I'm done. Thank you. That's it. Ugh. I have things I have to do tonight. So, I'll be home late.
Yeah, you already told me that's why I brought dinner.
No, I know, but I'm just conferring and letting you know that that's still applicable and I'm still going to be late.
Okay.
Catty bitch. Smile at her.
No, that's Tam.
Oh, God. He'll lean down and offer his cheek to her. Give me a kiss.
And she'll kiss it. Not that he needs to lean down that far.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Wrong character. He's only 5'8". I keep forgetting that. But yeah, he'll do that. And
Yeah, she's only like an inch, maybe 2 inches shorter than him.
Yeah, so he'll lean over and give her offer his cheek. Okay, I'll be home at around probably midnight tonight. On 12th night, I'm not going to be home at all. I'm just letting you know that right now. I may stagger in at about 6 or 7 a.m. Probably very intoxicated. Possibly covered in blood. Most likely my own. Could be someone else's. I'm not sure yet.
Well, like I said, stay safe, keep Sam safe, and then preferably everybody else safe.
Okay. Well, he'll wave at her sweetly. I have to go because somebody's calling me. But we can end it there.
Has to go as well, so.
Yeah. So, thank you players for playing, and thank you watchers for watching. Goodbye.